Renewable energy is often presented as the clean solution to our energy problems. Solar panels, wind turbines, batteries. The idea is simple. Replace fossil fuels and the problem is solved. But here's the uncomfortable question. If renewable energy is so good for the environment, why hasn't the world already switched to it completely? The answer is not politics. It's not denial. And it's not a lack of effort. The real answer is physics, scale, and engineering reality. In this video, we're going to explore why renewable energy is important, but also why adopting it 100% is far more complicated than most people realize, and why, despite the bad press, the world still depends on fossil fuels. Let's start with what renewable energy gets right. Solar and wind produce electricity without burning fuel. That means no direct emissions at the point of generation. Once installed, the energy is essentially free. No fuel trucks, no pipelines, no refineries. Costs have fallen dramatically over the last 20 years. Solar panels today are over 80% cheaper than they were in the early 2000s. And in many places, renewables now produce the cheapest electricity on the grid. So yes, renewable energy works, and it plays a vital role in reducing emissions. But electricity generation is only part of the story. The first challenge is energy density. Energy density is how much energy you get from a given amount of material or land. A small amount of oil contains an enormous amount of energy. That's why fossil fuels powered industrial civilization. Solar and wind are different. They are diffuse energy sources. You need a lot of space to collect a relatively small amount of energy. To replace a single large fossil fuel power station, you may need thousands of hectares of solar panels or hundreds of wind turbines spread across vast areas. This isn't a moral problem, it's a physical one. The sun and wind are powerful, but they are not concentrated, and scale matters. The second problem is intermittency. The sun doesn't always shine. The wind doesn't always blow. Electricity grids, however, must operate in real time. Supply must match demand every second of the day. If frequency drops too low, the grid fails. Lights go out. Hospitals, data centers, and transport systems stop. This is why traditional power plants are called baseload power. They provide steady, controllable output. Renewables and wind cannot do this on their own. When renewable penetration rises, grids become more complex, more fragile, and more expensive to manage. Countries with high renewable shares still rely on backup power, often from gas, coal, or nuclear. Renewables don't replace the grid, they stress it. So why not just store the energy? Batteries are improving, but they face hard limits. Lithium-ion batteries are expensive, they degrade over time, and they rely on mining materials like lithium, cobalt, and nickel. Most grid-scale batteries store energy for hours, not days, not weeks. Seasonal storage, storing summer energy for winter, is still largely unsolved. Pumped hydro can help, but it requires specific geography: mountains, water, space. Batteries are useful, they are necessary, but they cannot yet replace fossil fuels at a global scale. Renewable energy is often described as clean, but clean does not mean impact-free. Solar panels require silicon, silver, and copper. Wind turbines need steel, concrete, and rare earth metals. Mining these materials is energy-intensive. It destroys ecosystems. It creates waste and pollution. The environmental cost hasn't disappeared. It has moved upstream. Instead of emissions at the power plant, you get emissions at the mine, the factory, and the shipping port. This doesn't make renewables bad, but it makes them more complex than the marketing suggests. Now, let's talk about the developing world. Billions of people still lack reliable electricity. For these countries, energy is not an abstract debate. It's about survival, jobs, and growth. Fossil fuels are cheap, they are reliable, and the infrastructure already exists. Telling developing nations to abandon fossil fuels without viable alternatives risks slowing development and increasing poverty. Energy transitions must be fair, and fairness requires realism. You cannot build hospitals, factories, and transport systems on unreliable power. Another overlooked fact is this: electricity is only part of total energy use. Fossil fuels power aviation, shipping, steel production, cement manufacturing, fertilizer for global agriculture. They are the backbone of modern materials and chemicals. Even if electricity were 100% renewable, the world would still need fossil fuels in many sectors. Replacing them requires technologies that are not yet mature or affordable. Energy is not just about carbon, it's about security. Renewables rely heavily on global supply chains. Many critical materials are controlled by a small number of countries. This creates new dependencies. The recent energy crises in Europe showed what happens when reliable energy supply disappears. Energy transitions that ignore geopolitics are fragile. Security matters as much as sustainability.
Let's pause for a moment and look at what's already working in the real world. Because there are countries today where renewable energy supplies most, and in some cases, almost all of their electricity. Take Norway. In Norway, over 90% of electricity generation comes from renewable energy. The backbone is hydropower, large dams, rivers, mountain reservoirs. This gives Norway something rare: renewable electricity that is both clean and reliable. Iceland is another extreme case. Almost all of Iceland's electricity comes from renewables as well. But here, the mix is different. Hydropower plays a major role, but geothermal energy is just as important. Heat from deep underground provides constant 24-hour power, no intermittency, no weather dependence. Geography makes the difference. Now look at Costa Rica. Costa Rica regularly generates more than 90% of its electricity from renewables, mostly hydropower, supported by wind and geothermal. Some years, the country runs for months at a time without burning fossil fuels for electricity at all. In Uruguay, the story is similar. Hydropower forms the base, wind power fills in the gaps, solar adds flexibility. Together, they supply the vast majority of national electricity demand. In Africa, one of the strongest examples is Kenya. Kenya gets over 90% of its electricity from renewable sources. A large share comes from geothermal energy along the Great Rift Valley. This provides stable baseload power without carbon emissions. Now, let's move to Europe. Denmark has become a global leader in wind power. Wind turbines now generate well over half of the country's electricity. On very windy days, it can exceed total national demand. Sweden and Austria both produce more than 80% of their electricity from renewables. Hydropower dominates. Wind and solar continue to grow. In southern Europe, countries like Portugal and Spain have rapidly expanded solar and wind. In good weather years, renewables can supply the majority of their electricity. Even large energy systems are changing. In Australia, renewable electricity has crossed the 50% mark. Rooftop solar plays a huge role. Large solar farms and wind projects do the rest. Batteries now help manage daily fluctuations. So, what does this tell us? It tells us that renewable energy can power modern electricity systems, but it also shows something else. Every success story depends on geography, resources, and system design. Hydro-rich countries rely on water. Wind-rich countries rely on space and weather. Geothermal countries rely on rare geology. These examples don't disprove the challenges, they explain them. Renewables work best when conditions are right. Scaling that success to every country in every climate for every type of energy use is where the real difficulty begins.
So, what does a realistic transition look like? It's not 100% renewables overnight. It's a mix. more solar and wind, more nuclear, smarter grids, energy efficiency, cleaner fossil fuels where necessary, and time. Every major energy transition in history took decades. The goal is progress, not perfection. The future is not renewables versus fossil fuels. It's engineering, economics, and realism. And pretending otherwise only slows the transition we all want to see.